Okay, welcome. Welcome to our February 20th membership forum. We will probably change a few things a little bit on the format today, only because I didn't want to put a PowerPoint presentation together because I had a presentation at PETS and it didn't allow for any interaction back from the crowd. And so I thought we would probably try to use that material, but this time create some conversations and get some ideas and understanding. A lot of great things come up at these forums for those of that you are new. A little bit of house keeping. First of all, if you could rename your title to the club that you're from, so people in the people that are listening and watching can see the different clubs, and that way, if they want to get a hold of you, they'll know which club you're from. We emphasize club presidents and membership chair discussion between each other, so get to know people here, and that's just one of the ways we do. The other thing is I'll probably ask Chris to monitor the chat. If you have questions, the chat gets recorded as well. So if you have some questions and they're longer that can be held, or something that you'd like from us, we can, if you put it in the chat, we can, it's easier. It's basically my notes. It's easier for me to remember that and get back to you and get an answer. And it might be something as simplistic as a recording of this or an email or an address, anything that you're looking to get. Please, that is by all means that's a great place and it gets recorded. Good morning, Matt.
And so you can save the chat. There are the three little dots at the bottom of it. And if you right-click that, it'll say Save Chat. And it saves it in a document file in your documents that says Zoom. So
thank you.
Anytime you do that, it just stacks up all those previous chats, which is nice if you want to go back.
You bet. And the reason I dwell on it is sometimes when we're in the Zoom, you'll ask a question and sometimes you'll think the presenter forgets. And we do keep the recordings, we do keep the chats, and it's just a good way for us to do our follow-up. So I encourage you to use those.
Good morning, Bruce.
Good morning. Okay, so with that, have all of you read or taken a quick look at this morning's newsletter out there? It popped up this morning. The reason I mention it is not only is there a great article from our membership chair that we'll talk about today, but there are some other great things. The District 5110 newsletter is something, if you don't subscribe to, I would recommend it. It comes out once weekly, and it's not something you have to save for all eternity. It's just something you look at, review, pull out the information you want, and then just delete it. And you can't keep them if you want, but it's a lot. The reason I bring it up is there is a public image event February 28th. And Dan posted it, but Heather put on the last one, and Heather Edwards. But it talks about how your clubs can post events to the newsletter. It's very easy to do. It's actually extremely easy to do, and it is the best way to get your club, get the your events posted. If you want the district, if you want to invite other clubs or tell other clubs what you're doing, this is a great avenue of. And Heather doesn't always. Here we go. Heather doesn't always believe it. The public chair doesn't always advertise it as well as she should. Anyway, I'll probably get in trouble for that comment. Regardless of that, Chris, do you have any announcements you'd like to bring up for us? Chris is the district governor nominee and past membership chair and a great personal friend. And so what she says normally means important stuff.
Well, since I don't have the reins of the membership committee anymore, I sit around thinking of new ways to make trouble. And I got this idea when I was at Zone Institute in San Diego. I met a man named Michael DeGrandis, who is the America's Club and District Support Officer. He and I started talking about leadership development and professional networking, particularly aimed for the younger professional Rotarians that many clubs have, but are they're not as engaged as we'd like. And so we came up with an event for March 5th, Tuesday, March 5th from 5:30 to 6:30, and it's going to be a district networking mixer. So everyone's invited, but I am going to send out a special targeted email to all of the Rotarians in our district who are 40 years old-ish or under. And there's about 300 of them. So, how many of them will show up is always we'll see. But the idea is Michael DeGrandis is going to facilitate it, and we're going to have a mixer where people can talk to as many other people from around the district as they can and build their network and socialize and get to know other young Rotarians. Now, at 27 years old, Michael DeGrandis epitomizes a young professional, especially with the title he has with Rotary International. He's responsible for creating club and district leadership development strategies in North America. And he's very energetic and enthusiastic. So I sent out, this morning at 10:30, all of the presidents will get my P-mail that is to notify them. And later on, probably Thursday this week, I'll send out a save the date to the younger members, and then I'll remind them right before that. But anyone can come. I'll send out the Zoom link. In fact, I'll put the Zoom link in the chat right now if you're interested. And you're more than welcome to come and see what they're saying. And that's it. I hope to see some people there.
And for all clarity, 60 is the new 40. So anybody that is young at heart that wants to join these things.
Exactly.
It is for those members that are just engaged in Rotary and want to spend time with those that are even more. Michael DeGrandis is he works for the zone. Actually, he works for RI, doesn't he, Chris?
Yes.
But the point, though, is there is so much that goes on behind the scenes, and our job is to communicate from the RI and zone to you guys, and we're not always effective. And this is just one more way for us to create an avenue for you to understand what I don't know if I like to say the bigger picture, because I think the big picture is what you guys do in the clubs, but it's more about what's coming down the pike, and a good chance to talk to those some of your questions, reasons why.
Well, the main purpose of this meeting will be for them to get to know each other. Michael suggested we don't have an agenda per se. We have in mind what we're planning on doing for mixers, but the idea is that they just get to talk to each other and build relationships. So I don't plan on inserting myself into their world and say, hey, how come you're not more engaged or whatever. We just want them to build a comfortable relationship within Rotary where they see their peers. I did put the link on the chat, and yes, Jill, we will record it.
Okay. And Mike, Chris, your cat has gotten bigger.
That was my husband. He's watering my plants, otherwise they die.
Those that you haven't seen Chris on the Zoom, normally the cat makes an announcement somewhere during the meeting. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about membership. One of the biggest questions that we have, or that we brought up at PETS in our district meetings was, why is membership important? Why do we dwell on membership? What are the reasons that membership is, why do we beat it to death? Why is it always at the forefront of our memories? And what are your thoughts on it? So before we go too far in, I'd really like a little bit of response from the crowd, what they think. And we'll start with some of the straightforward ones, and then maybe we might drill down a little bit to some members or to some ideas of why membership's more important than maybe we don't think about. So anyway, I see all of us have hands up. So we'll start with a couple of questions, but Marv, why do you think membership is important? You're on mute, Marv.
Yeah,
There we go. Thank you, sir.
membership is important for, I guess, for a lot of reasons. One, if you want to have a sustaining Rotary International, you have to have members to support that. So if you look at the big picture, that's where the membership is important.
Okay.
The other thing is, I think it gives an outlet for people that want to do something in the community, a place for them to do that. I know this week we happen to have our city panel where we have the mayor and two other people that kind of run the city. We have that every year, and we invite anybody that wants to come do that, to be part of that.
Perfect.
But I think the more times that you start interacting in the community, it kind of builds on something. It's like, you know, pay it forward, and people will start helping other people. I know this morning I went out and I put out flyers for scholarships, because this year we've got over $30,000 for senior scholarships that we want to give out, 20 of which is designed just for agriculture. So went to all the feed stores this morning and dropped off those flyers. So when you're engaged, people feel that, you know, they're making a difference. And if the club can make a difference to the community or to an individual, that's why you want extra members.
Okay. Marv, I'm going to hold you to those answers just so some of the other clubs have a chance to come in. I don't want you to steal everybody's answers. Okay. Has anybody else got a pretty straightforward reason of why we feel, let's limit it to one, so we'll go through the room, get you guys used to answering. Just kind of a reason why we feel membership's important. And yes, Peggy, I'm going to pick on you. So Peggy, why do you think membership's important? Just one answer, and then we'll go through about 5-10 minutes of interaction, then we'll come up with probably some others that maybe you don't think about. You're on mute, Peggy.
Thank you. Just the natural way of things, we lose members every year. And so if we don't want to become extinct, we need to have membership drives and get new members to replace.
Okay. Perfect. Angela, do you have what do you think? Why do you think membership's important?
Well, boy, Marv sure did put out a lot of stuff, but I would agree in regards to the community service part. One of the reasons that I'm a Rotarian personally is to give back to my community, or as Marv said, pay it forward. So if we don't have enough members, we really can't help our community.
Okay. Jerry, what do you feel is?
Well, no question about it. Membership is momentum, and without the membership, we're just a lost stone in the lake, more or less. And we, as a small club, 25 or so members, you know, it's just always a struggle trying to get anything done without members.
Mm-hmm.
And you all know that you don't 100% of your members don't join in and work, and that's always our challenge.
Okay. Debbie, I'm going to go to you next, and then Jaya right behind her. Okay. Debbie, what do you think?
As I think about membership, I'm with the Road Gateway down here in Grants Pass, and we look at how what is the big picture, the people that are coming into the Rotary, their time while they're in the Rotary, and then the exit. And it's like, how do we manage that scope of experience that people have, so that it best serves what our purpose is in serving the community? And you only can do that if you're listening to them. And that membership perspective helps us stay fresh. It's almost like the way that our club can do self-reflection and say, are we hitting the mark? You know, what's working, what's not working, and how do we make it better? And if we don't listen to the members, if we don't pull our members' perspective into it, we're kind of sometimes we can be in an echo chamber. So
right.
That's one of the reasons I think they're really important.
Great answer. Thank you, Debbie. Okay, Jaya, there's a club on this forum that needs members. Anybody have extra members? Let Jaya know, because she needs them in Monroe.
Thank you for plugging.
Not a problem, Jaya. And then we'll go to Matthew after that, and then Kim after that. So, okay, Jaya, what would you like to add?
So yes, I'm in Monroe. We're the newest club in the district, and that's a brave thing to be. and I would welcome any members here that want to join us. But I actually think that there are a lot of Rotarians out there that don't know that they're Rotarians or once were Rotarians and would like to, get involved. And I was having an aha moment when I went to my counseling appointment yesterday, and I get my counseling from a small nonprofit that's giving a person opportunity for supervision, right? So they're not quite fully credentialed. And I talked about what a great weekend I had with Rotary, and they're like, "Oh, I love Rotary. I'm a Rotary exchange student from when I was in high school, and then I paid my college books." I was like, "Yep, there's another Rotarian. How do I get her in my club?"
Yeah, it's amazing the impression we make on people. Thank you, Jaya. Matt, what have you got?
Well, I think, a lot of people have touched on, we have to have members that is our number one resource in Rotary is membership. So that's how we're able to do the things that we do. But it's also important to bring in new members, kind of diversifying our clubs and bringing new ideas.
Okay, good. Matt, by the way, is I'll clarify and reverse Matt's from the second best Rotary club in the district. Only to make Peggy happy. Matt's from my home club. So, Kim, what do you have to add? Thank you, Matt. You're on mute too, by the way, Kim.
Yeah,
And
I
Kim,
was just about to lower.
Kim's
Go
the
ahead,
club-
lower my hand. Oh, treasurer, yeah.
Kim is the district treasurer, so she is my favorite district Rotarian at all times.
Now we got Bruce's address correct. He can get his reimbursement.
And now she's a double secret separate. Okay.
But
so you have anything to add?
well, no, I was getting ready to lower my hand because I think most people have kind of said probably what I'm going to say, and to me, it's just that diversity and refreshment of minds and humans. And no matter how much we might love our club and our older members, we need that new membership and fresh blood in there to keep us going.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, I still see some hands up, but does anybody else have anything to add about why membership's important? Because there still are some good ones hanging out there, and I'm going to fill in the blanks if we don't. We all good? Okay. Well, we'll start with the mundane and work up to the really good parts. As I have preached and as we brought up in Membership in a Box, one of the biggest reasons why membership is something we need to pay attention to, maybe not as important as much as we have to monitor, is the attrition rate. Clubs have a higher attrition rate than they may think. And everybody here, I have the ability as membership chair to give you individualized growth and attrition rates for your club. So if you email me at any time, I can give you year to date and I can give you current membership trends. I can tell you where you're at. There are, the average North American club loses 9.3% of its membership yearly. And that happens. That is something we really have to look at. And different clubs may be different. I've seen some higher, some huge attrition rates, and I've seen some pretty strong or lower ones, I should say. So you really want to monitor that. It's not that you may not be losing members or gaining members, because we've got some really strong membership numbers coming in this year. And I want to share those with you later on. But from a club membership chair and as a president, you have to be aware of those. So if you're bringing in 4 new members and going, we have 4 new members, that's the best we've done, we're doing great. But if you lost 5, you're still 1 in the hole. So it's very, very important to monitor that. People move, people change, positions change. It is a fact of what we as Rotarians understand. And once we understand that, we can start to look at that. If you're a club that loses 12 members a year, you're going to want to kind of get 1 a month, just to stay static. So membership, just understanding why that attrition rate is, and of course lowering it, looking at it. There's club surveys we can do, but that's probably one of the big ones that sticks out in my mind. Is every membership chair and every president should have at the back of their mind their go-to number. And if they know last year that they lost a certain amount of memberships to, like you said, aging out, moving, just lifestyle changes is probably the biggest thing. They've got to be aware of that. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a negative thing. It's just something we have to know that it's something we address. So we've talked about the 80-20 rule, and that is 80% of the 80% of the work is done by 20% of the members. So obviously, the more numbers that you have, volume solves a multitude of ills. The more members you have, the bigger pool you have of people to help you. It's, as Marv had pointed out, it's the more effectiveness you have in your community. You have the ability to do bigger projects. You have the ability to be seen more, and you have a bigger pool, and most importantly, of potential leaders. You really want to keep an eye out. Every one of you should be building succession plans for yourself. You're actually building in your own obsolescence. And as sad as that is to say, right after you maybe like Matt or Angela have been to pets, it's something that you're always building that. And we'll talk about RLI is a great place to do that. Those of you that have been to pets and have seen the management of that, the magic of that event, RLI is about the next best one, and we have one coming up March 16th, as a matter of fact. It's a 2-year term. Think about in your club somebody that you can add or send to that and hopefully get a little bit more of that understanding. Obviously, foundation giving. When you are looking at grants, the bigger your foundation, the bigger the DDF grants that come back, the more you can use in your own community. Is everybody having a problem with with the electronic part of this? Am I coming in and out on you guys? Okay. Well, I just want to make sure it's not me. I just saw in the chat that there was a couple that have bounced in and out. Anyway, so the idea is with more membership, you've got a bigger pool of foundation giving. You've got a chance to get bigger grants, whether it is through DDF grants, which are district designated funds, or global grants. You have better pools. Rob Thurston from Peggy Sweets Club in Corvallis is just a huge advocate, as is Joe Vincent. I see him on the call, of global grants, and they put together clubs and the addition of clubs to allow for bigger grants. It's just a great idea of that. We've talked about community service. Obviously, with a community, you get bigger buy-in, you get bigger groups, and you get better fellowship. Marv and I have had a conversation about having organic clubs that just feel good. People like going to your clubs. And there are several here. Most of them are on this call. When membership is important, they have a tendency to make decisions for their club, whether it is venue, whether it is, something as simplistic as what we eat, whether it's the meal for that day, maybe it's the community events, but you're creating an environment that is a warm and a welcoming environment in your clubs. And that is probably, in my estimation, probably the strongest thing that a club can do to gain membership. I believe the rule, it is probably the golden rule, which is people don't always remember what you say, but they do remember how you make them feel. And if you have a club experience that makes you feel warm and inviting, that stays with them. And that's probably one of the best things we can do in membership. So the last thing I'll talk about why on the membership, has anyone heard of the word of blue zones, have the term blue zones? And I see some nods. Good. Blue zones are for those that haven't, blue zones are here, I'm just going to check my chat, make sure. I know Matt's trying to get it back in and out. Blue zones are areas where they have identified long-lasting health, and they have a high amount of 100-year centenarians. People just live longer. And so they've gone throughout the country and they've looked at these different areas across the world. And one of the things that, they talk about health and what they eat, but one of the strong things that came or impressed me was they all had a sense of community. The blue zones all bring, in Okinawa, which is an island, it's not part of Tokyo or Japan, but they have what's called a moa. And here's an interesting part. It is a group of community members that all socialize together, pool their money, and use that for the helping of other club members. And if that doesn't speak Rotary, I just don't know what does. They also have and I'm butchering these terms, I believe it's an Igawa, and that is a purpose. They all have a purpose, and they have 10 times the amount of people that hit 100 than the average standard. There is on Netflix, there's a really neat program on it. It's actually episodes, and I recommend everybody to look at it because it not only speaks about obviously healthy habits, but it talks about loneliness and how the social values and even one of my newsletter comments was Dan Himmelsbach had put together the value of Rotarians and how that strength of social gathering, community, and a sense of purpose are strong values with lowering heart, feeling better, and quality of life. And so that is why I feel that as Rotarians, we have probably the best product out there for people that are looking to, for lack of better words, enhance their life. So thank you for listening to me on that. So how do we, getting back to the forum side of it, how do we create awareness? And I'm going to go right back to Marv. Marv, do you have a great idea of how we as Rotarians in your club, how do you create awareness out in your areas?
I think we do it a couple of different ways. One, we put an ad in our local newspaper for our community, the Revenue Spokesman. About every other month or every quarter, we put an ad in there, basically promoting an activity or something just to get our name out. And then we also use the Chamber of Commerce weekly newsletters that go out for the different events that we have. And when you have events going every single month from February, early March to September, your name's always out there all the time. And then if you go to Coffee Clatters, we try and have as many people as we can go to it. Anywhere we have anywhere from 4 to maybe 9 members that are always there on a Coffee Clatter promoting it. So on the Coffee Clatters, you're going around saying what organizations you belong to. And I'm somewhat of a competitive person, so I always want more Rotarians out there than Kiwanians. So I try and get more people to go out there. So it's keeping in front of the community.
Thanks for that input, Marv. Okay, I'm going to pick on a few that that maybe we haven't talked to. We're going to, Brianne, you're actually down on the corner of my screen. What do you feel that your club could do to help bring in, make awareness of membership and Rotary in your area?
So yesterday I made a beautiful YouTube video that was Medford Rotary People of Action, and we shared that. So I was just checking in on that. Yeah, we could definitely do more outreach.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to solve the world. It's like eating an elephant. It's just one small bite at a time. Jill, you're right next to the box next to Brianne, so that makes you up next. Yep, you gotta take you off of mute. Perfect. Thank you, Jill.
We have a really exciting year this year. For several years, the World of Wine has had a celebration here in Jacksonville, and the wineries come from all over the United States. It's quite well known, and it's sponsored by Asante Hospital. And this year they backed out of the program. And so Rotary has taken on the entire project, and we are so excited. But we are going to not try to replace the project. We're actually making it Jacksonville centric. So we're going to have the restaurants and the merchants and the wineries. We are sponsoring in conjunction with the Jacksonville Wine Association, which is currently at 11 wineries. And it's going to be huge. And we have the city behind us, which they've never really supported us before. And so I just feel that this is a fabulous bridge to really good things coming in the future.
Okay, excellent. Okay, I see Marv had his hand up, but he took it down. I'm gonna go to Jim from Central Point. We're gonna get that lower contingent. Jim, you're on mute, but what do you feel we should do to build awareness for Rotary?
Well, one of the things we do, we pursue membership from the chamber and from the school district. We're extremely well tied to the District 6 school district. So our students of the month and from grade school through high school, we pursue those avenues. We also have the district superintendent as a member. And we've had this district superintendent in membership, whether it changes out or whoever it is, for the last 30 years. So they don't get away. We get them into the club, and it's just almost one of their rites of passage to come participate with Rotary.
Good for you. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big proponent of looking at those community leaders. Chris, I see you have your hand up. You're on mute, by the way.
Yes, I just noticed that.
I heard a new term at PETS today, this weekend, about giving the district governor the microphone, but I won't bring it up at this meeting. Good. Anyway, what you got?
I'm not the district governor, so I'm just a servant.
You will be sooner than you think.
I want, several of you mentioned Chamber of Commerce and getting to know your chamber members. I go to chamber business after hours events, and we have a group called Latino Professionals Connect, and they have a business after hours event. I've been to the Lane County Human Resource Managers Association business after hours events. Most of those are free. Our two chambers charge a little bit for their business after hours event, maybe 10 or 15 bucks. But I go to those and I wear my Rotary badge, and I just try to get people to ask me what's Rotary. That's what I want to hear, is what's Rotary. I'm looking for people that don't know what Rotary is. And when they ask me what Rotary is, I say, oh, it's the biggest network. And remember, they're all there to network. It's the biggest network in the world. And our mission is to serve our communities and the world, making it a better place while we advance our own leadership skills. Well, almost everybody is like, wow, how do you get involved in that? Well, let me tell you. And so I invite them and follow up on it that way. We have several clubs here. But anyway, just going to those business after hours and talking to people, networking. It's an awesome, easy, cheap way to, build awareness.
Okay. Quick comment, and we'll go to Marv, has his hand up. I personally think public image is a great place to start. Talking with Heather about your options is Heather Edwards is your public chair. When you do with public image, the biggest thing you want to do is it's not just about putting up a sign for your club. It's about telling a story. So when you talk to public image, it's very important to think about your club and the story that you want to tell, what you do. And same thing as Chris said with chamber events, when you're going there, it's more about your interactions with the Rotary and why they're important. Marv, you have your hand up, sir.
Yeah, the other thing is that a lot of cities have leadership classes, like Bend and Redmond. And part of the Redmond and also the Bend, I know they have a half day when they talk about community service, and they typically bring in 2 or 3 clubs or organizations that do community service, and we're on there all the time. So we developed a 15-minute video talking about our interaction with the city and talking about the club. So and we do that every year for every new class, and that might be a place for you to, basically talk about your club.
Okay. Thank you, Marv. Real quick, I see Kim's got a question in the chat. If you can read that, if you can respond, the district has a policy, and I might let Chris take a look at that one. about joining Chamber of Commerce, but I know what our club does individually. But I wouldn't mind if you guys answered to Kim in the chat, maybe what your clubs do with regard to joining the chamber, rather than them, parts of them charging you. But anyway, Angela, you had your hand up.
Yeah, so I had a thought, and this kind of also hits on the younger members. We're a college town here in Eugene, and so there's a lot of graduate students, and they're going to vary in age from younger, but I went to graduate school at 50 years old, so you don't know. But they do job fairs twice a year. And I was thinking it'd be such a good idea to be at those, because as Chris was saying about that networking, it's that same type of thing. That's what they're there for.
Perfect. Thank you, Angela. That's right down there. Jerry, have you got anything to add real quick?
Well, we actually, the Bear Creek Valley Rotary Club used to be in Medford, and we moved it out of Medford and just here recently into a little community of Phoenix. Phoenix Talent area has always been our service area. So they have lost over 2,700 homes and businesses due to the big fire. So it's just really been devastated. So we have really focused on them. And so what we did, though, now that we got started there, is we started Rotary Bingo. And it has really, really been popular, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and big prizes, and we're getting all the locals now that are coming to that. We picked up a couple of new members, and it's just a slow crawl to make this happen. It doesn't happen overnight.
Okay. No, I think that's
one of the things we do.
No, thank you, Jerry, very much. I see Debbie. I was going to call on Debbie, but she has her hand up, so she's ahead of me. But hold on one second. How many of you, when you have these events, take pictures or a video and scroll it at your clubs? It looks like Marv does.
Yeah, we have a couple of times.
Jaya, what did you think about pets when you were there? And I see Matt, but I'm hesitant to call him Matt because he's lost his video screen on this thing. And Peggy, what did you guys think when you're sitting in that grand ballroom watching all of the other Rotarians on the screen? And they had little power, little management sayings and leadership sayings, but what did you think of those?
I found it very inspiring. Pets is like, if you haven't been, it is the most inspiring opportunity that you can do. But I love the pictures of the work. And one of the things that my club used to do is exactly that, show pictures of the work that we're doing, but it's kind of fallen off the map.
I bring that up because I think that's probably I have one of two things that I want to get in the next 20 minutes to cross, but that is one of them. Is I think every club has the ability to scroll, if they can't, and I understand that, but I love them to get there, is to scroll pictures of their members from community events of the past during their meetings. At the beginning of the meeting, when there's fellowship and people are talking, people love to see those, and it is such a warmth. I think Greater Corvallis, I know, does that, and it's very enjoyable. And I know a lot of the members kind of keep an eye out and watch those screen events. And I don't know, there's just something inspiring about watching happy, smiling Rotarians doing things. And it is something that I think every club could do fairly inexpensively, if possible. Okay, Debbie, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to move you back a couple of places, but do you
No
have
worries. I do have a couple things. One is that we have a relationship with a couple of key leaders in the community. One is the Four-Way Foundation, the other is the Chamber. And their executive directors serve in an ex officio capacity within our Rotary. So we don't charge them the membership fees, but we get them to come to our meetings and to be a part of our organization. So it's a, if you will, it's a point of entry, easy. And most of the time they continue on as being an involved member as time goes by. Another thing that we do is whenever we have a speaker that really resonates with the group, we invite them to come as a guest in the future. And we start looking at those as a short list of potential new members, because we've already heard from them and kind of understand their connection and what their ideas and purposes, sense of who they are, with what their story is. And we can see where, where those dots connect. And that's, if you will, quote unquote, low hanging fruit.
Perfect. Great addition. I want to respond to a question Kim Myers had brought up. The point, she goes, her club doesn't have a strong social media knowledge or tech knowledge. My recommendation to that would be see your AG. That's Jennifer Geller for that. But the point is I want Jennifer Geller to bring up at an AG meeting, I have a club, because there are so many people that are brilliant at the IT side of things and can help. You're all in clubs that are larger than your clubs. There's a lot of help out there. And, I know we just brought on a new AG, Pat Mickleberry, who is extremely knowledgeable in IT, but I think we can, between if the smaller clubs that may or may not have that ability for IT, there are people out that can help, and they would love to help create this. I know it's, I pick on Peggy a little bit because I do visit her club, and it's not an age-related issue, because they have done a great job of bringing in the hybrid meetings. And so they've got good IT guys, and so there are people that we can go to and ask how we can get that taken care of for you. So if you do have a club that is having some questions about how to get maybe something as simple as a scrolling or IT work at your club, the district can hopefully match you up with somebody. So your AG, which anybody that's been to PETS might have knew this year, was definitely, that was something that came up very, very strong. It was a strong message, was consult your assistant governor. They have, which are area governors, and they have a plethora. And as far as I'm concerned, I sit on those meetings, and as an AG myself, and I see that Joe's on this call, we know we can get you answers if we have to. It may take us a while. Maybe it's a good test for us to do as well. Anyway, hi, Joe. What do you think? You think they could do that? You're on mute, Joe.
I don't see any reason why not. I think that's within our ability.
Yeah, and I'd like to all introduce you to, this is Joe Vincent, our executive AG, and he is available 24/7. I'll put his personal cell phone number in the chat so you can call him just to talk if you have a question. Actually, I'm joking about that, but you know what? Chances are he'd probably answer, wouldn't you, Joe?
Yeah, sure would.
He is he's the one that has to wrangle all of us assistant governors together, and so he would be a very helpful source if your regular assistant governor, your area assistant governor, does not respond. Even though I know they're all great people and would love to if they can. Anyway, thank you, Joe. Any other questions that we want to talk about real quick? And I can leave us with a couple of ideas and maybe get a quick discussion going on that. I'm not seeing any shaking heads. So one of the things that I feel that we should think about is recruitment. And we talked about getting that superintendent. We talked about getting, we are lucky to have the executive director of the chamber in our club, but I feel that one of the things that is lacking is we don't recruit like we used to. I'm a big believer in vocational lists. There are some clubs that don't. I look at a vocational list as a place, if you were in if you were looking for treasure, having a list of places to dig would be probably one of your best friends. And I feel we're the same way with Rotarians. If you look at that, it's not a way to exclude members out of your club. It's a way to remind you there are other places to look. Looking at your community leaders, your city managers, These are people that you don't even have to worry about training leadership. They're built in, looking for that connection. And Chris Waugh is, we lose her every zone because she's out looking at connections. She is very, very good at bringing people, and I think her walk-in line is, "Hi, I'm Chris Waugh. Will you be my friend? And are you a leader in any sorts of capacity? Because I may need your sources sooner than later." And I'm joking, but I think she actually does say that. So the point is when you're sitting there in a membership meeting, and hopefully you do have these, and you're going, where do I find new members? Start looking at where you can recruit. If Mike Hewitt was on this line and he's seeing his sister right now, he would tell you never underestimate the ask. Their club, by the way, Port Orford had 12 new members from the beginning of this year, and they are leading our district with new members. There are many clubs that are strengthening their membership staff, and to be honest with you, 1, 2, 3, 4 are amazing numbers. Last year, our district lost 122 members. This year, as of the January 1, we were up 46 members. So that is 168 member swing. Now, 46 members say, that's not very much, but that's huge. So that's why we look at the attrition rates, because getting 5 members and losing 6 you're still behind the curve. So when you look at those attrition rates, sit down with a pencil and paper and honestly look in your areas of places to look. I believe Sharon, who I haven't talked to yet. Sharon, do you ever think about a comment came up in some of the smaller areas like Montague, where they're like, well, we have, most of our members are maybe rural farmers, and they're places that they don't really have a great social circle because they work for a living. So you might want to go to, well, where do they buy stuff? Maybe you want to look at the local, in the Willamette Valley might be a Wilco or maybe a Coastal Farms, but you might want to look at the manager of those stores, because first of all, if you're looking from a networking or a marketing standpoint, if you bring in somebody that's in business with a majority of your leaders, chances are he's probably going to want to join your club, because he's going to, holy crap, all my customers are there. The second thing is if they're a store owner, boy, there's a fundraiser looking for somebody to, there's somebody that doesn't even know that they want to give to the Rotary Foundation before they've even started yet. And I say that in jest, but in all honesty, people do like to advertise their companies, and they do like to be affiliated with people of high integrity, and Rotary is the perfect place to do that. So when you are in areas and when you start thinking about places to look for new members, it's the difference between being a passive membership club and an active membership club. Passive is maybe you put out a booth and people walk by. You're victim to the people that walk by. And they may or may not be interested in Rotary. If you are out recruiting, which is an active form of getting members, now you're physically earmarking people that you would like to be part of your club. And you have much more say. So you have the ability to bring in people that maybe maybe you can choose what part of, we had a club one time, we were looking at our vocation list, and we brought in, and minister popped up, minister or somebody of, of faith. And we didn't, and we actually approached somebody, and they actually joined our club, which if without a vocational list, we probably would not have thought of that. So it is a great place to look with vocational lists. They're a great place. It's not one of those, well, we already have too many of this vocation, so we can't have. No, that's not really. We want to get away from that. If they want to be Rotarians, then they should be Rotarians. But I really would love to see us look more at an active level, and it takes, just pick 3 or 4 people from your club. They don't even have to be part of the membership committee, even though by default they are. And I always love that saying, if you ever go to a grants meeting, you're part of the grants committee because you get to vote. And that's the same thing with membership. If you sit down and talk to somebody about membership, they are a de facto member of the membership committee, and what they say and their input is always very important. So sit down, literally take a ledger page and go, what parts of our community do we not have in our club? and try to make sure they're not part of another club. They might get upset if they think you're poaching. But the point though is to sit down and honestly you can do it in 30 minutes and write down a list of people. I mean, I sat at a club one time that's not on this call, by the way, and they had the city manager whose wife was an actual foreign exchange student and had a program on Rotary, and they did not invite him to be part of their club. I went, you literally watched a potential member, a potential leader walk through your doors. So that is something that I would like to talk about. If we have time, we got 7 minutes. Is there anybody has maybe some success stories with asking the why, or maybe some things that didn't work out well? Any hands on that one? Peggy, you're on mute, by the way, but yes.
Okay, so we have added a new category of membership at our club, and it's called the spousal membership. And so spouses can join for a discounted rate, and that's kind of a growing thing for us now.
Excellent. I'm listening to you and I'm reading Joe's comment on the chats at the same time. So I can't zone out and go, okay, you guys go away. I got to read stuff. Anyway, I think that is exploring the options. We're not going to really focus on satellite clubs today, but that is probably that, and looking at different ways that you can bring in memberships to your club are amazing resources that are at your disposal. Any way that you can contact or positively affect someone with regards to Rotary is probably the most beneficial thing you can do. As we were talking about creating clubs and how we are, when we invite people to our clubs and how we can make them feel warmed and engaged, that's your avenue, or that's one of your strongest resources that doesn't cost you a penny, that leaves a lasting impression on people that maybe are Rotarians or people that are Rotarians and don't feel engaged. I know Jaya had a great experience with Rotary when she was younger, and look at her today. She is president of her own club, and she's like, woohoo. Anyway, and we have 5 minutes left. Does anybody would anybody like to? I think Sharon, I apologize, I haven't picked on you. Would you like to add anything to our club? And quit shaking your head no, because I'm going to stare at you until you say something.
No, actually, I got one really good idea with the school. You said something about school sponsoring, and I'm going, yeah, we could do that. We could do like every other month sponsor something in school where we get our big emblem on the school newsletter. Because I believe if you make Rotary a friendly term to young people, they'll enjoy it when they get older and they'll be more receptive to it. So
You
get
bet.
them while they're young.
That's a
That's
great
my
idea.
story. That's my story, Sharon.
Okay, Jai, we can go as long as we want, but no, thank you, Jai. I want to get Jim, and then we have Marv as well.
So one of the things that for our membership that we've been doing over the last couple of years are wellness checks on people that have kind of dropped out. When we talk to them, we do kind of an exit interview. We've had some that have had some fairly significant tragedies, and so they've taken leaves of absence, and so we keep in contact with them, and we know we've done pretty well bringing past members back in that have had to take time off, and that's through our wellness checks. We just make the phone calls and talk to them. And so it's worked out okay for us.
There were a lot of good sayings at Pets, and one of them was saying that, I think it was Amelia Earhart that said, sometimes doing is just a matter of just doing, and reaching out to people that like that is very, very important. Marv.
We just started an Interact Club at one of our schools, and we've designed some Rotary shirts for them that basically promote Rotary on their front, and on the back it really promotes their Interact Club with their own logo and everything else. That's of course approved by Rotary International. So we'll be getting those t-shirts in about another week and a half, so it'll be interesting to see the reaction and how that might increase the membership of the Interact Club.
Perfect. I think Rotaract and Interact are two untapped resources. I think all of us that have the ability to do more with Rotaract should and could and should. And I know I'm preaching to Pat about getting involved. Jaya, I didn't mean to cut you off. I want to hear what Jaya, you got a quick couple of seconds to tell us about your experiences?
Well, I just wanted to say it was really great to be able to be at Pets, and it just helped jog my memory that Rotary actually has touch pointed and many times across my lifetime. And I sat down and had dinner with someone who leads a club that I used to volunteer for when I was a graduate student in Seattle. And so that was pretty interesting, you know, and then I asked him about the activities that I watched this club do some kind of crazy, amazing judo of building they got involved in building a whole 3-story housing food bank, and it was just a little volunteer medical clinic on the back side of the fire station, and it turned into something really big. But this particular president-elect felt so sad because everything was falling apart and it wasn't like it was before. So I'm really curious to be able to go back and have that conversation and see what's changing on a kind of broader scale across our communities, right? And make sure that we don't expect ourselves to do too much, but also recognize the power of being able to just check in. Yeah.
Jai, thank you. That is warm. It's good to hear. It's very warming to hear that sometimes we forget how we impact other people's life. Okay, I think we're at our end of our time. Michelle, don't think that you got away without us picking on you, because maybe next meeting we'll pick on you twice just to make up for it. Anyway, thank you all again. This is very powerful. It's very helpful. All of you have some fantastic ideas. I will make this recording available on our YouTube channel and see if we can direct some people there. And hopefully we'll see you next month. Thank you again.
Bye.